Welcome back to second season. It picks up where the first episode left off, where a mistake by Karen caused the ship to be delayed by 5 years, making the journey to Earth take 8 years instead of 3. The story starts with Captain Clark on a romantic date with a passenger named Elena. She's married with kids, but tells Clark that she and her husband Charles are separated and will get a divorce when they reach Earth. She wants to continue her relationship with Clark and even invites him to meet her children. Clark is thrilled and promises to show her kids around the ship. Just as things are going well, the ship's communication system suddenly shuts down, and Matt comes looking for Clark, interrupting their date. Clark tries to avoid Matt, but Matt follows him. Clark eventually talks to Matt, who asks why he hasn't told anyone about the ship's delay yet. The scene reveals that Captain Clark has kept the news of the ship's delay a secret from the passengers. Matt confronts him about it, warning that the longer he waits to share the news, the more problems will arise. Clark is hesitant, fearing the passengers' reaction, but Matt emphasizes that they need to inform them soon, especially since their food supply is limited and will run out in a few months. Clark refuses to budge, insisting that he won't share the news until Rob comes up with an alternative solution. This leads to an argument between them, prompting Matt to call a crew meeting in the conference hall. Meanwhile, Jade is pretending to be oblivious to the situation, enjoying some downtime with a passenger friend. When Billy comes to summon him to the meeting, Jade feigns ignorance and refuses to attend. Billy sees through his act, but tries to convince him by revealing that they've found a solution to reach Earth quickly. This piques Jade's interest, and he hastily joins the meeting, eager to learn more. In the conference room, Rav reveals that the food shortage is more severe than they thought. The main food supply is running out, and the alternative food source, a fish called eel, is not producing enough resources. The demand for food is high, but they can't supply enough. Rav proposes a radical solution, dividing the passengers into 3 groups. The first group, the Guarantee Group, consists of important people who will continue to receive food until the end of the journey. The second group, the Destiny Group, will be locked in half of the ship's deck and given limited food, relying on luck to survive. The third group, the Pioneer Group, will receive no food and will likely die. The crew is shocked and horrified by Rob's plan, and no one is willing to accept it. Captain Clark is particularly outraged, saying that as long as he's in command, he won't let anyone die. On Earth, a popular live TV show is broadcasting from the base of the Avenue ship, with Iris as the commander. She's invited to a talk show where she's supposed to reveal the true situation of the Avenue ship to the public. However, when asked about the ship's direction change, Iris dodges the question and moves on to other topics. Meanwhile, on the ship, Clark visits Billy in the science department, where she's working on the eelfish food source. Clark confides in Billy about the situation and decides to take responsibility for telling the passengers about the ship's new course. Billy supports his decision and is proud of him for taking the initiative. At the same time, Matt and Rob notice that Frank, Karen's husband, is hosting a live cooking show that's being watched by many passengers. They realize that Frank's popularity and influence could be used to their advantage. They come up with the idea to use Frank as a familiar face to break the news about the ship going off course, hoping that the passengers will be less angry with a familiar and likable messenger. Rob and Matt visit Frank to ask for his help in breaking the news about the ship's course change. However, they discover that Frank has been keeping Karen locked in a room for days, fearing that if the public finds out she's responsible for the situation, they'll come after her. Rav convinces Frank that he can't keep holding Karen captive. Meanwhile, Matt finds Clark and fills him in on the situation with Frank and Karen. Clark decides to go to Karen's location, but on the way, he runs into Elena, who's brought her children to meet him. Clark asks Spike to take Elena and the kids on a tour of the ship's workstation while he attends to Karen. On Earth, Iris visits Mission Control and learns that government agents have taken over the mission room. The agents reveal that Iris and Jade had requested the communication shutdown, which they now restore. Iris immediately contacts Jade, but Jade is with other passengers who overhear the conversation and learn about the situation. As the communication is restored, Spike brings Elena and the kids to the control room, where they inadvertently become part of the unfolding drama. The children's excitement gets the better of them, and one of them presses a random button on the control panel, causing the ship's route to be modified again. This time, the ship is headed straight for a nearby star, and the proximity is so close that it could be fatal for the passengers. The route is locked, and no one can stop the ship. Meanwhile, Clark is about to make a live announcement to the passengers about the ship's original course change. But Billy interrupts him with the news about the ship's new trajectory and the danger it poses. The passengers hear the news and panic erupts. The crew calls an emergency meeting where Billy explains the situation. They come up with a plan to move all the passengers to the back of the ship, which is more heat resistant, to save as many lives as possible. As the crew starts evacuating the passengers to the back of the ship, Clark goes to Elena's room to help her. However, he's shocked to find Elena and her husband Charles together, revealing that Elena had been lying to him about their relationship. Despite his frustration, Clark helps them, and together they assist other passengers in moving to the back of the ship. Matt and Clark find a passenger who's still relaxing in his room, claiming that he's too cold and chill to be affected by the star's heat. Clark gets fed up with the man's nonsense and threatens him with a fire extinguisher to get him to move. Meanwhile, Billy realizes that the high temperatures will also kill the fish, which are their only food source. The crew starts transporting the fish to the rear compartment one by one to save them. On Earth, the news about the ship passing through a star leaks out, and Iris's talk show appearance doesn't go as planned. She decides to take a different approach and buys the rights to a TV show about the Avenue ship, planning to modify the script to reflect the actual situation. Iris meets Zora, the sister of a crew member who was killed on the Avenue ship, and offers her a role on the TV show, playing the part of her own sister. The crew manages to safely transport all the passengers and fish to the rear compartment, where their chances of survival are higher, but still uncertain. Billy discovers a tunnel with a temperature 20 degrees Celsius lower than the outside temperature, but it can only accommodate 300 people. The crew decides to prioritize the fish, children, women, and important people to enter the tunnel. Clark announces this news and chaos erupts as everyone rushes to get in. In the chaos, Clark manages to get Elena's kids inside, but Elena's left outside. Charles, Frank, and Judd also make it inside, while Matt decides to stay outside with the others. Karen is also left outside. As the ship approaches the star, Billy monitors the temperature from inside the tunnel, while Matt tries to keep the people outside calm. The ship passes through the star system, and when it emerges, everyone in the tunnel is safe. When the tunnel doors open, the crew finds that many people have suffered injuries and damage, but miraculously, everyone is alive. The ship returns to its original course, and the crew breathes a sigh of relief. However, their problems are far from over, and they still face an 8-year journey to Earth. Billy discovers that the eelfish are no longer reproducing, and upon investigation, finds that the tank and maintenance system have been damaged by the gravitational pull of the star. Billy realizes that she can't fix the problem alone. While searching for a solution, they detect a space station nearby on the radar. They decide to visit the station, hoping to find help. Clark, Matt, Billy, and Spike are the first to arrive at the station, where they receive a warm welcome. The space station is a military base, but the crew is surprised to find that it's well-maintained and organized. The inhabitants of the station have been living there for many years and are happy to provide food, medical supplies, and assistance to the Avenue crew. Clark calls the rest of the crew to join them, and soon everyone is interacting with each other. Billy meets Val, a physicist who offers to help her fix the eelfish pod. Val and Spike also become fast friends. Frank meets a man named Nathan and invites him to his cooking show, along with Jade, who wants to get free footage. Meanwhile, Rob does some digging and discovers that the space station is not a military base, but a space prison, and the people they've met are not ordinary citizens, but dangerous criminals. Rob finds out that the woman who welcomed them was an animal abuser. The old lady was a serial killer who killed her own family, and Val, the physicist, was a child abuser. Nathan, the cook, was a cannibal who cooked humans. The entire station is filled with psychopaths. Rob immediately warns the crew, who are shocked and horrified by the revelation. They realize they've been sitting comfortably among these psychopaths, and they try to make a quick escape. However, the criminals try to stop them, but the crew manages to return to their ship. However, they still need Val, the physicist, to fix the eelfish pod, but no one wants to bring a criminal on board. Jade comes up with a helpful idea to bring Val, the physicist, on board without letting the other criminals follow. They create a container pathway between the ship and the station and put Val in a ball to transport him safely. Val is brought to the ship and, under supervision, fixes the eelfish pod with Billy's help. However, after the job is done, Val refuses to go back and starts threatening the crew. They quickly put him back in the ball and push him back into the prison station, closing the passage behind him. The crew breathes a sigh of relief and relaxes, thinking they've escaped the danger. However, when they gather in the ship's hall, they discover that Nathan, the cannibal cook, is still on board. The episode ends with a cliffhanger, leaving the crew in a precarious situation with a psychopath among them. Iris, who is in charge of the mission control on Earth, discovers that the government is hiding something. She finds out that the Earth has run out of lithium, a crucial energy source, and that's why the government is not prioritizing the rescue of the Avenue ship. Iris decides to take matters into her own hands and leaves Earth in a rocket to reach the Avenue ship. After a few months, Iris finally arrives at the Avenue ship. Meanwhile, on the ship, the fish tank has been fixed, and the passengers and crew are living normally, except for one problem. A cannibal named Nathan is on the loose. Captain Clark is determined to catch Nathan. Nathan, and Billy suggests locking down the ship and searching for him compartment by compartment. Clark agrees to this plan without thinking it through and declares a lockdown on the entire ship. The lockdown on the Avenue ship causes chaos. Passengers are trapped in various rooms, including the dining hall, spa room, and cabins. The cannibal, Nathan, is locked in a cabin with Elena, her daughter, Pamela, Matt, and others. Meanwhile, Billy and Captain Clark head to the data center to make an announcement to the entire ship. Clark tells Rav to send a message saying that the lockdown is just for maintenance and that everything will be back to normal soon. However, Rav is nervous and has never interacted with the public before. She struggles to operate the control panel and accidentally puts the camera on mute so no one can hear her message. When she finishes speaking, she forgets to turn off the camera and accidentally unmutes it. She tells Clark that she has made the announcement, but in reality, everyone on the ship has heard her message, including the part about the lockdown being for maintenance. However, since the passengers don't know about the cannibal on board, they start panicking and shouting for the doors to be open. Karen sees an opportunity to gain attention and fame by calming down the panicked passengers. Instead of revealing what she knows about the cannibal, she uses her influence to manipulate them with her own words. Meanwhile, in a surprising turn of events, Matt, Elena, Pamela, and Nathan are having a peaceful conversation, sharing stories about their lives. Nathan even opens up about his past mistakes, claiming to have changed for the better. Clark and Billy are trying to track down Nathan, but they realize they don't know what he looks like, as only Frank, Karen, and Jade have seen him. They try to contact Jade, but she's busy meeting with a government agent. Jade discovers that the government has been hiding the fact that Earth's lithium supply has run out. He uses this information to blackmail the government, threatening to make it public unless they help him. The agent asks for 30 minutes to discuss with his supervisor, but Jade doesn't receive a response. Feeling desperate, Jade takes a bold move and reveals the news about the lithium shortage to the public through a live TV broadcast. This move not only exposes the government's secret, but also means that the Avenue 5 ship will no longer receive help from the government. In the dining hall, people are getting frustrated with Karen's lack of help. When they discover that she knew about the cannibal all along, but didn't say anything, they become angry with her. Meanwhile, Billy goes to seek help from Frank because Jade is not responding. When she arrives at Frank's room, she finds that the people there are mistreating Frank, thinking he's the cannibal. Billy clears up the misunderstanding and brings Frank to the data room. Frank is able to identify Nathan by his life story, and Clark realizes that Nathan is currently with Elena. Clark immediately goes to their room, where he finds Nathan and the others, who have been impressed by his story and consider him a good person. Clark and the guards capture Nathan. In a separate incident, a passenger named Douglas gets injured while trying to escape from the lockdown. The rocket pilot, Paul, tries to help him, but the guards mistakenly think that Paul is the cannibal and is attacking Douglas. As a result, they capture Paul, the pilot. Clark is fed up with the situation and goes to the control room where Billy and Rav are. He's unaware that the communication system is still on, and his words are being broadcast to the entire ship. Clark vents his frustrations, revealing that the ship will take 8 years to reach Earth, they'll run out of food, and everyone will die. He also mentions that the government is ignoring them and that there's a criminal on board. The passengers hear Clark's words and start rioting. A large group of people protest and gather outside the control room. Clark tries to apologize, but the passengers are beyond consolation. A passenger named Isaac starts inciting the crowd, suggesting that they don't need a controlling crew and instead want a democracy. The crowd agrees and starts chanting slogans. As a result, the passengers demand that Iris, Jade, and Clark be locked in a cargo room. The agents on Earth, who are revealed to be the top 3 businessmen, Beth Bezos, Mike Zuckerberg, and Dusty Musk, are referred to as the second president. They run the world and give orders to their agents. The second president orders their agents to work on the lithium issue and to blow up the Avenue ship with rockets, as Jade has already leaked the news to the public. The agents on Earth are shocked by the order to destroy the Avenue ship, but they have to follow orders and prepare to launch a rocket to destroy it. On the ship, the democracy experiment is failing, with everyone having different opinions and fights breaking out. Iris suggests that a dictatorship might be a better solution, with one person in control. Meanwhile, Clark and Jade are enjoying their time together, but Elena frees them and they return to the hall. Clark suggests holding elections to choose a new leader, and several candidates come forward, including Isaac, Nathan the Cannibal, Frank, Matt, Rav, Billy, Mads, and others. As the election preparations begin, the candidates share their ideas and thoughts with the public. Surprisingly, Nathan, the Cannibal, gains popularity, and his voting numbers exceed those of the other candidates. The crew and Clark are worried that a criminal might win, but the other candidates are not performing well. Clark notices Isaac sitting in the corner, looking sad, and encourages him to give a speech. Instead of promoting himself, Isaac endorses Clark as the new leader, highlighting his qualities and strengths. The public is convinced, and Clark becomes the top choice, receiving 86 votes. Clark is announced as the supreme leader of the ship and undergoes a makeover, complete with posters and a dictator-like image. Everyone on the ship starts saluting him as he passes by. Matt and his supporters refuse to accept Clark as their leader and start a rebellion against him. Iris, Clark's head of security, tries to keep an eye on Judd, while Billy monitors Jade's attempts to contact an agent on Earth for help. However, Judd is not taking Clark's leadership seriously, and everyone else is getting increasingly anxious. Iris suggests creating a secret police force to maintain order on the ship, but Clark rejects the idea. Meanwhile, in the lab, Spike discovers that the Metroid has a large supply of lithium, a valuable resource. Rav informs Clark about this discovery, but Jade is still hesitant to contact the agent on Earth. Clark goes outside and notices that the passengers are watching a TV show that portrays him as a hero. However, Clark is not impressed with the show, particularly the actress who plays Zora, whom he thinks is a bad actor. In a joking manner, Clark says that she should be given a death sentence for her poor acting. However, in a strange coincidence, the actress dies in an accident on set, and the news spreads quickly. As a result, the passengers become even more fearful of Clark, thinking that he is a ruthless and evil dictator. Clark visits Matt in the hospital to resolve their differences and end the rebellion. They make amends and come out of the hospital together, but their reunion is short-lived. Matt is suddenly shot with an arrow from a crossbow, and the public assumes that Clark was responsible for the attack. This incident further erodes trust in Clark's leadership and increases fear among his subordinates and passengers. Meanwhile, Jade finally contacts the agent on Earth and reveals that they have found a meteoroid with lithium, which they are willing to supply to Earth in exchange for a rescue mission. However, the agent informs Jade that it's too late for help, as the government has already planned to blow up the Avenue ship. The agent also reveals that there is no way to cancel the rocket launch. The finale of the Next Avenue TV show is being broadcast, and everyone on the ship is watching in anticipation. However, the show ends with a shocking twist. A rocket is launched from Earth and destroys the Avenue ship, killing everyone on board. The show ends with a memorial screen showing the names of the deceased passengers, including Clark, Jade, and others. The passengers on the ship are shocked and panicked by the ending of the show, and the atmosphere on the ship descends into chaos. Clark orders Iris to activate the secret police to restore order, and the episode ends with a sense of impending doom. In the next episode, the destruction missile is closing in on the Avenue ship, but Iris has managed to calm everyone down by deploying the secret police. The board members gather to discuss a plan to save themselves from the impending danger. Judd suggests that the ship can be divided into two parts, and if they separate the rear part, they can escape the missile. However, this plan would result in the deaths of everyone in the rear section. Clark announces to the passengers that they will be judged by an AI system for the next 24 hours, and the top 3,000 people will be transferred to the front part of the ship, where they will live a luxurious lifestyle. The passengers are unaware of the reason behind this judgment, but they start to notice points appearing on their watches. As the judgment begins, the passengers start to realize that their actions are being evaluated. A passenger named Dagger is arguing with someone in his room and is losing points, while a pregnant woman named Mia already has a high score due to her pregnancy. Karen was worried because Clark didn't talk to her when Frank called for a system check. She wanted to know if Clark cared about her, but Frank told her that Clark didn't want to talk to her. This made Karen sad. Karen then pretended to be Clark and accessed the ship's audio files. She discovered that Clark liked Elena and wanted to save her. Clark took Elena, her husband Charles, and their children to a nice restaurant. They had cameras installed, and their points started increasing as they discussed their problems. However, Elena revealed that she loved both Clark and Charles, and her points started decreasing. Clark realized that if the dinner didn't go well, they would be sent to the back compartment. He started making gestures to try and fix the situation. Elena forced Clark to tell the truth, and he revealed that the ship had a point system. Despite telling the truth, Clark's points continued to decrease. Clark was surprised and wanted to investigate what was happening in the ship's lab. Spike and Billy were discussing their points, and Spike was doing well because he was making people laugh with his jokes. Billy was in second place, but she was unhappy and wanted to know who was in first place. She saw that it was Spike, and he went to a crowded area of the ship to tell more jokes. However, some of his jokes offended people, and his points started to decrease. Meanwhile, Rob was trying to improve her low rating. She congratulated her brother and sister on doing well and tried to cheer up a group of people playing soccer. She even gave a compliment, but things took a turn when a man started choking her. Despite not wanting to, Rav was pressured into helping the man, but unfortunately, he died of a heart attack. This caused Rav's points to decrease. Iris, on the other hand, had a clever trick. She would smile in front of the cameras, and the AI system couldn't detect that she was doing anything wrong. As a result, she was getting a lot of good points. Clark was still confused about why he was losing points, but it was revealed that Karen was still wearing a costume and roaming around the ship, causing people to have a bad day and affecting Clark's points. Karen was angry at Clark, and her actions were causing his points to decrease. Judd, the creator of the AI system, was explaining to people how to increase their points. Clark asked Judd to check his ranking, and Judd was surprised to see that Clark was now in danger of being sent to the back of the ship and facing death. Meanwhile, Mia went into labor and gave birth to a baby with the help of Iris. Clark was searching for Karen and discovered that she was behind his declining points. He apologized to Karen for making her feel bad, and his points increased significantly. As a result, everyone on the ship learned the cheat code to increase their points, apologizing to others after fighting with them. However, with only 2 minutes left, time was running out. The passengers were about to be divided into 2 groups. 3,000 would live a luxurious life on the ship, while the rest would be killed. Elena had very few points, so Clark gave her his watch, which would help her survive and live a good life. The passengers with low points, including Billy, Charles, Spike, and the engineers, were left behind. Judd, who had created the point system, revealed that everyone was actually already dead, and the system was just a simulation. This caused a panic, and people rushed to the safe side, changing the heat map and potentially redirecting the missile to the safe side of the ship. As the 2 ships prepared to separate, Judd's ship, which had all the essential supplies, was the only one that could survive. Billy and Clark were worried, but then Spike stepped forward with a shocking revelation. He had a medical condition that would cause his heart to fail in 3 weeks, and he wanted to use the escape pod to attack the missile and save everyone's life. Everyone was shocked and saddened by Spike's news, and they felt a deep sense of loss and appreciation for his selfless act. Rob and Anjor's ships can communicate again, and Rob wants to work together to escape the missile. However, Judd, who's in control of his ship, doesn't want to lose power and refuses to cooperate. Clark tries to negotiate with Judd by offering him mustard and toilet paper, which is a strange offer. Meanwhile, Clark contacts Elena, who wants to get married to both Charles and Clark before she dies. A virtual wedding is organized, and Spike leaves for a mission. The wedding ceremony takes place on the ship, where Charles, Clark, and Elena exchange vows. However, Rav interrupts the ceremony to ask the ship to shut down to minimize heat signals, which reveals that Elena is not actually part of the wedding. Clark gets angry at everyone involved, but decides to deal with them later. Clark then contacts a spy to talk to them before leaving. Spike's accidental medical checkup reveals that he's not dying after all, which changes his motivations entirely. He no longer wants to sacrifice himself and decides to save his own life by moving his escape pod away from the missile. The missile's malfunction and collision with the lithium Metroid is a convenient plot twist that resolves the conflict. It's interesting that the Metroid, which was initially intended to be used to help people on Earth, ends up getting destroyed instead. The edited video created by Billy is a clever move to deceive the people on Earth into thinking that they've acquired a significant amount of lithium. The irony is that they actually have very little lithium left, which is a humorous touch. The ending of the series is a bit abrupt, with the plan to rescue the characters on Earth being set in motion. It's a shame that the series got canceled, as it would have been interesting to see how the story would have continued.